Let's take a look now at the cases coming out of the territory's criminal court on St. Croix. Charges of assault and battery are laid against one man. An 18-year-old is charged with burglary, and a man arrested last week on manslaughter charges for a fatal road collision in July is granted pre-trial release. On September 14th, the woman filed a police report against Kenrick Dunkirk, saying that she was in a relationship with Dunkirk and that they had been arguing the night before. Unable to come to an agreement over a particular matter, the woman says she'd gone from the house onto the beach for most of the night. She came back inside early on the morning of the 14th to try to de-escalate the situation, but went back out to watch the sunrise after being rebuffed by her boyfriend. Dunkirk came up behind her, she reported, grabbed her arm and demanded she accompany him on a walk down the beach. She says he went walking alone when she declined, and by the time he returned, she was back inside the house. Dunkirk reportedly continued to insult and berate the woman until he fell asleep and she decided to leave. The woman told police that Dunkirk woke up and came running towards her just as she was about to drive off. He was able to catch up to the vehicle and clambered through the front door on the passenger side. At that point, the woman said she braked sharply, causing her boyfriend to go crashing into the dashboard and windscreen. That was when Dunkirk punched her, the woman told police, catching her on the right side of her face. Peppering her with insults, he then reportedly began ripping up the clothing she had placed on the front seat and tossing it out of the window. The woman said she got out of the vehicle and began to pick up her belongings, but the enraged man grabbed her by the throat and shoved her up against the vehicle, threatening to kill her. Ignoring her pleas for him to stop, Dunkirk reportedly grabbed her by the hair and placed a pointed metal object by her neck, repeating his threat to kill her. The woman said she managed to inch away and her boyfriend decided to get back in her vehicle and began to drive off. After being warned that she would call the police if he took her car, Dunkirk reportedly parked a short distance away, went into the house and lay on the bed. Police were duly summoned and Dunkirk was arrested after declining to give a statement to officers. Responding officers noted visible bruising to both the woman's forearms, her neck, right eye, the left side of her forehead and her upper back. In court on Friday, a judge ordered Dunkirk to deposit $101 in cash and the rest of his $1,000 bail as an unsecured bond. He must surrender his passport and will not be allowed to leave St. Croix without court permission. He must stay 1,000 feet away from the victim and any witnesses, as well as remain out of contact with them. The burglary case involves Irvin Noel Jr. after the daughter of a homeowner reported seeing him on her mother's surveillance camera on September 14th. She said she went to check a notification she had received from the system, only to see someone standing in the living room of her mother's house. That someone was too tall to be her 92-year-old mother, the woman said, and was also not wearing a shirt. That's when she saw her mother sleeping on a couch in the living room. The man stood over the sleeping woman for a few moments, and the horrified daughter watched as he took some fabric from a second couch and walked back to where the woman's mother was sleeping. That was when the woman says she yelled, "Hello, hello, who are you?" The man turned, noticed the camera, and left the residence. A subsequent review of the footage provided additional details. The man, later identified as Irvin Noel Jr., was first seen in the living room with a long pipe, looking at the victim. He placed the pipe on a table before creeping closer to the couch. After he took the heavy material from the other couch, he walked back to the side of the couch where the sleeping woman's head was. That's when her daughter's voice interrupted his intentions and Noah left the living room. The woman told police at the Wilbur H. Francis command that the man in the video was her mother's neighbor, who lived across the street from the elderly woman. She noted that he had often complained about the 92-year-old taking his basketballs, but told police that she had tried to make amends, giving him money for a new ball on one occasion and mounting efforts to look for the missing basketball another time. She noted that a stolen ball should not have caused the man to harbor harmful intentions towards her elderly mother. Noel provided a statement to police as well. He says he couldn't find his basketball when he got home, and knowing that his elderly neighbor sometimes keeps his things in her yard, he went onto her property to look for his ball and potentially more of his belongings. He said the back door was open, so he went in, taking a pipe he found on his way into the home. He claimed he initially did not know the woman was in the living room. A light in the bedroom made him assume she was in there. He had no reason to offer when asked why he'd taken the robe off the couch, but said he was not trying to injure the old woman. He says he left when he heard the voice asking who he was, which he thought was coming from the bedroom. In court, a judge ordered that Noel would have to post an unsecured bond in the sum of $50,000 before he can be released into the custody of a third-party relative. If he is able to secure his release, he will be barred from leaving St. Croix without court permission, must report weekly to the Office of Probation, and must search for work. He will also have to abide by a 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew. Noel is further ordered to have no contact with the victim or any witnesses and must stay 1,000 feet away from the woman's residence. Kai Jackson was arrested last Tuesday in connection with a July 2021 accident which resulted in the death of a 35-year-old man. It was July 7th of that year when VIPD officers were dispatched to the scene of a two-vehicle head-on collision on Orange Grove Road in the vicinity of the old St. Dunstan's Episcopal School. Investigations revealed that Jackson had been driving a 2018 Ford F-150 truck headed northbound, while the second driver, Cito Martin, was headed southbound in his 2000 Suzuki Vitara. The two vehicles collided nose-to-nose in the southbound lane where Martin was driving. He was taken to the 1F Louis Hospital but did not survive his injuries. After his arrest last week, Jackson was charged with involuntary manslaughter, negligent homicide by motor vehicle, and reckless endangerment. He was assessed bail in the sum of $50,000, granted a 10% provision for his release, and ordered to surrender his passport. Martin subsequently posted the cash portion of his bail Jackson subsequently posted the cash portion of his bail and must now report to the Office of Probation every Tuesday. He is also prohibited from contacting witnesses in the matter.